So there I was, minding my own business and finishing the script for the next episode of Endangered Inhabitants when I see this headline. Naturally, as an extinct animal enthusiast, I click it to see what's up, and oh boy, there is a lot to unpack here. This is genuinely one of the most infuriating headlines I've ever seen when you actually look into the details. So I wanted to get my takes off because I need someone to rant to. Anasaon dirus, commonly known as the direwolf, is a species of canid native to the Americas during the late Pleistocene to early Holocene epochs around 125,000 to 10,000 years ago. While their average size was about the same size as the largest forms of modern gray wolf, or Canis lupus, they do have a larger head and smaller feet when compared to a wolf of the same body size. Historically, the dire wolf was originally thought to be a member of the genus Canis, like the modern gray wolf, due to morphological similarities. This remained largely unchanged, with little pushback until 2021, when a DNA study found the dire wolf to be highly divergent lineage when compared to extant wolf-like canids, getting reclassified into the genus Anasaon. This new study identified that dire wolves diverged from the rest of the tribe Canini anywhere between 2.5 to 6 million years ago, putting considerable separation between dire and gray wolves. Dire wolves ain't even wolves, being even more basal than the African jackal species. The reign of these wolves coincides with the last glacial period, or Ice Age, which begins 125,000 years ago and ended 14,500 years ago. This ice age reached its peak during the last glacial maximum when the ice sheets began advancing 33,000 years ago, before reaching their maximum extent around 26,500 years ago. A warming period began a deglaciation period that began 19,000 years ago in the northern hemisphere until the end of the ice age. The reason I go over this is to illustrate the world that dire wolves lived in. Much of the world was colder and drier, with lower sea levels and precipitation levels compared to today, as most of the moisture was locked in ice. Dire wolves thrived throughout both North and South America across a wide variety of habitats, including the plains, grasslands, and forested mountain areas of North America and the arid savannas of South America. These habitats supported large varieties of now extinct herbivores, including 4 species of bison, 5 species of caprines or goats, saigas, 7 species of deer, 4 relatives of the pronghorn, 2 species of giant peccary, 6 species of camel, 8 species of horses, 3 species of tapir, 2 species of mammoth, 2 genera of gomphotheres, the American mastodon, 2 giant beavers, 23 genera of giant sloths, 12 genera of giant car-sized armadillos known as glyptodonts, 3 species of lepidopterans, and 3 species of toxodontid. Dire wolves were more well-built to hunt larger animals compared to modern canids, having a larger size, a more robust build, and stronger jaws than extant gray wolves. This bounty of mega herbivores did not go uncontested, however, as dire wolves had plenty of predators to compete with. The most famous of which are easily the 3 species of machairodontid saber-toothed cats, but they also had to face giant short-faced bears, American lions, American cheetahs, Pleistocene jaguars, dholes, and other species of extant canids. You might be asking why I bring all this up. Is Unc just reminiscing about the good old days? Nope! You'll see why I brought all this up in just a bit. Just stay with me now. Scientists at Colossal rewrote 14 genes in gray wolves in gray wolf endothelial progenitor cells, or ECP, which is a term applied to multiple different cell types that play roles in the regeneration of the endothelial lining of blood vessels, to express 20 direwolf traits. Seeing that no ancient direwolf DNA was actually spliced into gray wolves' DNA, these 3 wolves are not direwolves, just gray wolves with some edited genes to have direwolf-esque features. They aren't even in the same genus, for God's sake. Like, what are we even talking about right now? Colossal claim they're going off the phenotypic definition of a species, classifying based on their physical characteristics. Even if we disregard everything that we know about how taxonomy works in the age of genetic analysis, The massive amount of genetic divergence between these two species make this a very misleading and unscientific way of classifying a species. The genetic modifications did result in some physical differences, including a white coat, overall larger body size, more powerful shoulder structure, powerful in quotes, wider head shape, larger teeth, and muscular legs. What Colossal did do was actually quite impressive, but the claim of dire wolves being back from the dead is a blatant lie. They even made an entire section of their website that pretty much amounts to a bunch of noise to distract you from the fact that all the information Colossal gathered for this stunt wasn't even peer-reviewed. We just gotta take their word for it. Come on, man. Trust. Come on, man. No. This company does claim that a paper with all their findings will be released soon. But for the love of God, could you have just released it either before or along with these findings and all the media hype that came along with it? The white coats themselves are something I'd like to harp on, as it seems they made this decision not because dire wolves are white, which we have no evidence of, but to match the pop culture representations of dire wolves, especially Game of Thrones. They even had an entire section of the website mentioning all the various forms of media dire wolves can be found in. These cheeky fuckers even did a photo shoot with the pups on the Iron Throne. Like, can you at least try and hide how you're doing this all for the media attention? There are a lot of reasons why this sucks, most critically being what a tremendous waste of resources this whole stunt is, and the dangerous precedents it sets going forward regarding conservation. As you could probably tell from all the other videos on this channel, we are currently in a mass extinction, and people who could be helping with the conservation of currently threatened species are out here pulling this shit. Like, what are we even doing, dog? Colossal literally mentions other endangered species on their website, but are pulling garbage like this to get attention. Like, come on, man, we are just doing anything at this point. Colossal also mentions the biodiversity crisis like 400,000 times on their website, but I fail to see how this dire wolf resurrection fixes any of this, or even helps, seeing as they just beefed up some wolves and called it a day. Please tell me what I'm missing in the comments below, because I am genuinely tweaking over this. Not only is this a massive waste of resources, this also sets a bad precedent with conservation moving forward. We already have a massive problem with people not giving a shit about this mass extinction we're currently in, but this is even more dangerous. If people think that Colossal actually brought back the dire wolf, as it looks like with all these headlines, then there will be no urgency in preventing further extinctions, because they will think, well, we can just bring them back later. We've actually done this before back in 2009 with an extinct subspecies of Spanish ibex. Of course, it died a few days later due to lung issues that are commonly associated with clones, but this kind of technology can be important in future conservation efforts of extant species if improved upon, if Colossal gets their head out of their asses and cuts the crap. They continue to push the narrative that extinction isn't forever, which is dangerous when the public already seemingly couldn't care less about all the species we are currently losing. This just ain't the case, and could pose significant obstacles in future conservation efforts if the general public thinks we can just make perfect copies of extinct animals as they were when they were alive, especially when they are entirely different organisms with the name of an extinct animal slapped on it for what's essentially branding. Even excluding everything else currently happening, which is a massive ask, let's say there is no mass extinction happening right now. You still have to consider the questionable ethical implications of this. Let's say Colossal doesn't bullshit the world and actually does bring back dire wolves. What are we even going to do with them? Are they just being brought back to be stuck in zoos or circuses for the rest of their lives? The world has changed drastically from what it was when dire wolves thrived. We don't even know whether they could survive in this modern ecosystem. You see, I told you there was a good reason why I brought up what the dire wolves world was like. We need to hold these scientists hostage and make them watch Jurassic Park until they get when playing God is a bad thing. That being said, I don't necessarily disagree with bringing back animals that went extinct less than 1,000 years ago, as reintroduction into the wild is still a feasible option for some species like the dodo or thylacine, as long as there aren't more pressing matters to attend to as there are now. This could be an important tool in the future, but for now it's just a waste of time and resources that are desperately needed elsewhere. I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching me lose my mind for a bit. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Please like, comment, subscribe, and especially share if you enjoyed this to help spread the word about this whole debacle. I would also like to give credit to some more scientific analyses given by other YouTubers on this whole situation. If you want to learn more, then head to the links in the description to learn more. I only watched those videos after finishing this script so as not to copy anything, and thoroughly recommend them after giving them a watch. With this whole situation warranting an entire video, our next one will be yet another dive into the threatened species. I just really needed to get this off my chest so people can learn what actually happened and why Colossal are bitch-made for this. Everyone have an excellent day, except for Colossal. Peace.